Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. This is Christy Russell with Gem Tech Group, and I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for taking time out of your day to join us for this live demo. Gem has been implementing DCIM software for over 10 years and can help you with not only buying the software, but with all the DCIM services such as asset audits, full-blown installation, and annual checkups. Let's welcome today's presenter, Scott Sandal, VP of Client Services with Sunbird Software, who will be performing a live demo to teach you about inventory management and asset auditing with a modern DCIM software. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please type them into the questions section on your screen and we'll be happy to answer them for you at the end of the presentation. The demo is being recorded, and once it is available, we will email it to you. Now I'll turn it over to Scott to begin the demonstration.
Thank you, Christy, and good afternoon to everyone. So on today's demo, I'm going to go through our asset management, inventory management, and asset auditing. Within the DCIM application here at Sunbird, we have two key areas that you want to be aware of, and we'll focus on the first area, which is assets and items in DC Track, more related to auditing servers, switches, rack, PDU, and blades. We have a whole nother functionality built into the tool if you want to audit parts. And in our parts world, we define that as disk, cables, SFP, box of bolts, people are tracking tools, etc. So today's focus is really around the asset and items, either in cabinets or within storage rooms, etc. And we'll go through those different use cases. So in DC Track 9.0 and 9.01, the typical use cases that we look at are asset scan. There's a new lookup, so I'll go through that process of how you can document inbound equipment that maybe not be found within the system yet. So if you want to log that a device, switch, server, whatever has arrived at your location, you can log that into DC Track, put it in storage, and then subsequently pull it out for installation later. Maybe you're looking for an item that's in a cabinet and you want to update the details of that record. So you can go up to the cabinet, scan it, and do an update of the record, etc. So I'll touch on the Alt-L. It's a cool little tool that we put into the system just recently. And then the overall asset audit capabilities, which I'll touch on, are going to be the existing items in DC Track, meaning your elevation view exists in DC Track and you just want to audit the cabinet to validate. Really what you're after there is the delta. Essentially, you're validating that the asset was there last time you audited and is still there today when I'm auditing again. I'll go through how to audit a new cabinet when there's assets not in DC Track. So if you want to do a new cabinet audit to populate the DCIM, either a new cabinet rolling onto the floor, a new build out, or you're just auditing and populating data for the first time, how we can use the tool to do that. And then also a little key point when we're doing the audit within the tool is you can always add the models right to the software while you're doing that audit, so you don't have to go research later what models did I not have in the database, subsequently couldn't add. And then we do have the capability, so if you have a storage room within your data center or in your environments, multiple environments, there's a storage room of all the equipment, and you want to audit that for financial records or any type of records. We built into the software now where you can group up a room of equipment and then audit that, or a pallet, or however. So it's an audit of a storage room or a group. Okay. And then the last piece is just to audit. So these are the new use cases again that we've added to DC Track 9.0 that we put into. It was a beta in 8.0, but now we've made it a full-blown production version within the tool. So the asset lookup tool, when you look at that, on any page, asset or asset list, you can simply hit Alt-L and it'll pop up this screen. And then you can just scan a barcode or a QR code that will go through. There's nothing special about it. It's just a standard barcode or QR code that'll read that value and it'll either find the item, you can create a new item, or you can add an existing item into storage. So I'll go through that in the tool when we get to the demo point. So it looks a little bit more like this, and I do intend to share with everyone this deck of slides that you can have for future reference or to share within as well. So you can remember, hey, he showed one thing, but how did he do it during that demo? So what we're really talking about when we get into this palette, let's say we're equipment arriving at the dock or into the data center, or maybe it's into the headquarters, wherever it might be, that we need to log that asset information somewhere that it exists as a physical asset into our software. Maybe you already do that in a CMDB. Numerous of our customers that I'm working with don't have a process for devices coming to the data center or head-ins or whatever it might be. And so they need a process. So we've introduced this, again, just a couple to kind of level set your mind of what I'm referring to here. And then as you go through the process, in order to prepare for future auditing of cabinets, we want to understand where we're going to add or apply an asset tag in your environment. Is that upon receipt at the dock? Do you open it up, look for any damage to the piece of equipment, tag it, log it, and then put it in the storage room? Do you apply an asset tag when you take it out of the box and rack it into the environment, or do you not do it at all, right? And so we ought to understand that flow, because that becomes imperative to the later on when we're doing physical audits of cabinets within the racks. That's one of the key drivers to making it fast. So again, today I'm just going to show in our demo system adding a new item upon receipt, audit a cabinet within an existing space, and then audit a cabinet. So as a reference here, what I have is I received a couple boxes here into my lab. I'm going to audit, I'm going to add this doing an Alt-L, the service tag, and then the order number, and I'm just going to log it into the software. So I'll show you this process. So envision this when I'm walking through the next steps with DC Track, that I have a box that has arrived, 2 boxes in this case, 2 servers. There are 650s that we ordered. I have the order number and other equipment or other information about it, right? So I'll go into DC Track here, and in DC Track, I can simply go in right here, and if you envision that box, so I can do an Alt-L upon receipt. So I'm in the asset list view of DC Track, get my barcode, nothing special about the barcode. I'll scan the first barcode.
Item not found.
And what DC Track says is item not found. So essentially I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to add this as an R610, or sorry, 650 into my space. And I want to add this as SKU 2 or configuration 2, because I have the standard R650, but in our environment, I order it with different RAM, different drives, etc. So I have a different SKU that I'm tracking within the system. So I'm going to say this is an R650. Notice that it's going to say here is that service tag that came on the outside of the box. And the other thing that I want to do is add in the PO number, which was on the outside of the box as well. So now I'm adding in the purchase, the serial number, the make, the model. Maybe I can say who customer, any additional field that is imperative to your environment or needed for your environment to make it flow, purchase date, purchase price, whatever. And then I'm going to simply put that in the storage room. And maybe I want to put it as part of a shelf. So in my environment, I have a shelf 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe I just want to notate it that it's there. And all I have to do is simply save that. And now it's in my list view. Okay. So now months go by, years go by, whatever, however long stuff sits in the storage room. And now I want to do an Alt-L and find that again. When I do a scan,
Trackable 9Q0QGT3.
now DC Track brings that back and says, oh, okay, I see the box. It was in the storage room. And now I can proceed with placing it maybe in the cabinet. Maybe I want to put it in the Newark lab. I want to put it in cabinet 1F, whatever reason, U position 42, whatever. So now that's the process of intake of new equipment. And the one piece that I didn't mention there that some of our customers are doing, so as soon as that device arrives and I log it in DC Track, if I'm integrated with like CMDB, I can push that up, okay? So just a quick kind of, how do I get data into the system in a flow subsequently so I can do audits later, okay? Let's save that. I'll move back to, so that was just logging a new item coming into the center. The other thing I want to mention here is just in fact of just in preparation. So if you want to go through the same kind of flow this is all I did is I ordered some asset tags online, just found some QR codes, SB01, and I set up a demo script in a tablet so I didn't have to stick them all over to my IT devices. So I could go through a routine of how I want this to function in my environment. And then we went out and tagged all the cabinets. So I'll move forward, there's the demo. I'll move forward into the asset audit functionality, which is I'm gonna bring up a cabinet. I'm gonna scan all the IT devices in there. And again, the 3 different capabilities are scan group, like a storage, scan items, and or our audit tool, which is the connectivity piece. These are all 3. So I could audit a cabinet, log all the IT devices within there, and then go do a connectivity audit using the audit tool within DC Track. Okay, so here is a user-defined group. Can I go through these and I'll show you? So a user-defined group, I can go under the barcode under the asset management tab, do an audit group. And what I'm referring to here is if you have a room that looks similar to like this, so just a quick Google search, a room that may have assets sitting on pallets or in the back room, and you just need to do an inventory of that. We can do that within the software simply by tagging those and then creating a group and then going through that audit process. Okay. Or more frequently, what you want to do is audit the cabinet, which essentially we're just looking to do the audit of IT devices already in the cabinet that are logged. And that screen looks like this. And I'm going to go into a live demo here in a second. But this is the screen where you're going to come to asset and then audit. You can pick a cabinet and then all of your barcodes, in this case here, all of the asset tags, I'm just going to scan down through those, will verify that it's either new or not new, or if I need to be moved out. And then we can process that audit once complete for that cabinet. And DC Track will take the corrective measures to accomplish that. Okay, and when you're preparing, one of the things you want to think about when you're doing an audit is, do I want to audit all devices in the cabinet? So there's a configuration here of I'm going to scan asset tags. So when I scan, that's the field that's going to search in. And then I want to scan. In this case here, I have data panel device network. When I do it live, I'm just going to do device and network and probes. I won't do rack PDUs or data panels because I'm going to only do the front of the device, of the cabinets. Okay. And then you can set how long the information should stay. And then we'll do our, then you can set up so it'll talk back to you as you go through this process. Okay. So I'll go into the demo now. So on DC Track now, what I have, I'll go back to the visualization. Here's my floor map so you can kind of get a wherewithal of what I'm going to audit. I'm going to go into row 2. And in this case here, I'm going to audit cabinet 2A as a cabinet that already exists in DC Track. And then I'll show you in cabinet 2B how you can audit a new cabinet that doesn't have devices in DC Track yet. So again, here's the elevation view of a cabinet I'm going to audit, and then a view of a cabinet that has no IT devices that I'm going to add while I process. Okay, so I'll go to the asset list. And I could do it from any screen. So I want to mention a couple things. Here is the user-defined audit. I won't touch on that one today. We'll go through just a scan. So I'm going to go into the asset audit. It's a very simple way. So if you got everything tagged and everything ready to go, I'll go into cabinet 2A, which you can see has
cabinet 2A.
The elevations on the side.
Scan items.
Well, in this audit, it's currently set into the configuration to audit data panels, network probes, etc. And that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to cancel for this audit. I'm going to configure and say, in this audit, I'm going to only do device and network. Whoops. Device and network for this audit. So say done. Now I'll go grab cabinet 2A.
Found cabinet 2A.
Okay, so this is going to give my cabinet.
Scan items.
So now visualize that I just walked up to the cabinet and I'm just going to start scanning. So I'm going to scan the first one.
U44. 1U high.
So I'm just going to go all the way down.
U42.
Notice how it's
1U
adding
high.
a value here that it's verified. So let's say right now I need to add a serial number to this device. Well, I can simply click on the hyperlink here. Oh, it'll open up the detail page, and I can say, oh, this device has a serial number of 89PO. POI, right? I can save that, and that will now propagate forward to say, oh, while I was auditing, I also grabbed a serial number. Maybe the other one does not have that. So then I'll just proceed down through.
U1, 2 U5, U9, U13, U11, U15, 2 U3, 2 U high, U21, 2 U high, U23,
Okay, so I've
U25.
audited all the barcodes that are in there. Now let's say I get to the end and I hit one more, because there's one more server in there. It'll simply say, hey,
or scan new item details.
item is not found. Now I can say, okay, I want it, this is an R650. Now this is an example where I could look here and say, oh, the model I'm looking for does not exist. So I'm standing at the cabinet, I'm looking through the model library in our software, and it doesn't exist. So subsequently, I can click on the little filter box that will then take me to where I can add a model right then and there, standing at the cabinet, get all the specs about it, save it, and then use that model. In this case here, I'll just say, well, I'm going to use a R650 is a single U. Again, I'll use the ski one, and that belongs in U position 28. Okay, and I'm going to add the item. So now I've got an entry here that says add the item. Okay, so now I've physically audited this cabinet. When I'm complete, I'll hit finish the cabinet, and that's all done. Then I can go to the next cabinet, audit that cabinet, and what our software does for you is creates this cabinet 2A. I'm on the asset list view. It creates a file. So notice this cabinet doesn't have that device that I just added until I go and say process or apply the audit results. When I do that, it'll go through. Oh, I'm missing a model value. And in there. Okay, when I do that, that will then add that device to the cabinet when I got it all configured correctly. So I'm missing a particular value, so it's looking for a value in there. Okay. And then the last use case that I want to touch on for everyone is under asset, again, back to auditing. So let's say I walk up to a new cabinet and I want to do 2B. So in 2B,
Found cabinet 2B.
Notice again, it's holding
items.
my configuration and it's not having me audit patch panels or rack PDUs. So I want to go into cabinet 2B, and I'm going to start at the very beginning. I'm going to hit the first device. So it's
item not found.
Item not found, but it's still
Enter
holding
or
the
scan
SKU.
new item details.
So let's say this is a 650. I'm going to put it in U position 1, and I'm going to add that item. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next one.
Item not found.
Item not found.
Enter or scan new item details.
Position 2. Add that. So I just keep going through that process. Maybe I have a switch
item not found
that I need to add.
Enter or scan new item details.
I'm going to scan. So I have a switch. Oops. That I can just scan to clean up my values. And it's going to find this ubiquity. So there's a little barcode on ubiquity switches that comes in that gives me the model name on the package. So I can say that goes into U position 26, and it faces the rear of the cabinet. So I'm going to add that and add that item. Notice that it's giving a name to all the placements that involves the cabinet and the U position. So I'm going to finish this cabinet. Okay. I'll go back again to the items list, and I'm all done. Go into cabinet 2B this time. So cabinet 2B has no devices in it. So I'm going to do apply audit results. And it's going to say, okay, I found 3 to be added. Close. Now I can go in and see, okay, I installed 2 servers and 1 switch on that audit. So that's a quick rundown of the ability to audit asset tags into the system as they first come in, auditing a cabinet that already has several devices within there, and then last but not least, a brand new cabinet, maybe that hit the floor, and you just need to log while you're standing there what assets are in the cabinet, and then subsequently updating those with additional information. So that ends the end of our asset audit demo. We went through that relatively quick, but again, this recording will be available for you, as well as the slide deck that I showed you as well. Do we have any questions, Christy? Anyone?
I do not see any questions.
Great. So just as a reference, as we wind down the last couple minutes here, what I'm using as tools to go through this demo and tools in our lab here in Sioux Falls is I just simply ordered a set of tags that have a QR code. They're a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch for my asset tag. Credit to them in giving it an SB1000. So that's our asset tag that I'm showing for today's demo. And then I'm simply using this barcode scanner in my lab. So that's exactly the way mine looks in here in the lab. Does a 1D, 2D, so I can do 1D or 2Ds like code 3 of 9 or a QR code value into the software. Nothing special, it's just a USB dongle that applies to the system. And then you have the strips. Again, that's just how our strips look. It's called a Sunbird QR sheet. That's a sheet that I have. That's a sheet that I ordered. But we can assist you with getting the right kind of tags that you're looking for, as well as working with Gym Tech. So, and then as I look to the connectivity, the last piece of this, then the connectivity audit within the tool, you've all seen the spaghetti messes. A couple different comments to make about moving into the connectivity is, do you have your assets accurate? So we touched on that in our original demo. A place to keep, trace the cables, can we do that? Is the audit for some or all, meaning are we doing just in-rack connectivity? And is there an alternative? So if you get into a spaghetti mess, maybe you don't want to audit all of end-to-end or do all the tracing, but maybe you want to know what ports are available for future years. Maybe we could look at doing a port audit, or look at doing a port audit to update the system. Subsequently, any new connections are made and planned within the software, so you can do your builds out that way. Okay. And then just a quick look when you're all said and done. This is what the tool should look like. And the connectivity tool, where I showed you earlier, where it's /audit tool. What this allows you to do is to pick the cabinet, pick the server, the port, the cabinet, the switch or panel, and the port, and then you can add that connection. And then when you get all done with a cabinet of auditing, or the whole day of auditing, connectivity, process that audit, and that will build the connections in DC Track for you. So that's not only asset audit, flow of assets, but also the capabilities of being able to do a connectivity audit right within the application. And with that, I am done. Thank you very much, Christy.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate it. And thank you again to all of our guests for attending this live demo today. If you're interested in learning more about the capabilities of this DCIM software, please let us know and we'll get additional information out to you, or we can schedule your own personal demo. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.